I'm putting off what's coming. Another night staring at the ceiling. You deserve to be alone, to be the one they're always thinking of. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you. I admit that I ignored it. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be loved.
Hello guys, Termex here, and welcome back to another New World video. Today we ask the age-old question, is it worth to run 350 Dex and 150 Intelligence on a bow build? The quick answer is going to be absolutely. The long answer, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But to not waste your time right off the bat, if you are looking to use 350 Dex and 150 Ints, you better be using Elemental Conversion Gems. If you are not using Elemental Conversion Gems, there is literally no reason to be running it, and I'm going to explain to you why. The way the bow works is it bases itself off of thrust damage, and thrust damage is a form of physical damage. Physical damage in this game is slash, strike, and thrust. And the thing about intelligence is, well, it only benefits elemental damage, which is going to be anything listed in the bottom left here. So arcane, fire, lightning, void, nature, ice. So on my weapons currently, I have 40% of my damage is scaled into nature damage. Now this scales off of focus, so you may be wondering, why are you putting intelligence if you're using focus conversion elemental gems? Well, the thing about 150 intelligence is, let's go through the pips together. At 25, you get 5% increased critical hit damage on backstabs and random crits, which benefits the bow and the rapier basically in tandem. At 50, you get 5% bonus damage on a target with damage over time, and that's going to be very easy to proc from our Rune Glass Dot, Keenly Jagged, the Tondo ability from Rapier, and Rapier already has a 15% more damage to targets with the bleed. So technically, if you were to bleed a target with 50 intelligence, you're going to do 20% more damage if you're using the artifact Rapier. But this is when things start getting cool. At 100 intelligence, you get 10% to light and heavy elemental attacks. Technically, on the bow, the nature or the elemental portion of your light and heavy attacks will get a benefit from this ability. In my testing, you're getting a lot more damage out of that elemental proc, and the difference is very, very obvious. But the big pip, the reason why we stop at 150 is you get 15% raw elemental damage, and this literally applies for everything you do. I have tested this with Poison Shot, and the Poison Shot ticks are doing a lot more damage without any empower or anything with a flat baseline. So is the fire procs from Boom Boom Arrow, because fire damage, of course, is an element, but we're not running Rain of Arrows because bleed isn't an element and you're not really getting too much benefit out of that. And if you guys want to see a full build on this, please let me know. I could definitely provide that for you guys, but I want to explain 150 Ints, 350 Dex right now. But this build becomes even more powerful when you're going to bring the likes of a Rapier, because the Rapier scales off of intelligence as well, so you're getting even more benefit out of it. I would say if you're using a spear and a bow, I probably wouldn't run 150 Ints. I mean, you could, there's nothing really stopping you from doing so, but you're receiving the most benefits if you're using bow and rapier, because the rapier still benefits from intelligence, giving it a lot more damage than it traditionally would if you were just going to overspec into dexterity. And of course, I'm in love with the rapier right now. It's literally been the only thing I've been using since I made a build video on it, and it's just a whole lot of freaking fun. But as you can see here, with our nature damage on these target dummies, we are still doing a great amount of nature proc, which is really, really nice. And if we get some dodges going and do our poison shot's hitting pretty hard as well. But if you're going to run these conversion builds with the elementals, you benefit greatly from rune glasses that still give you the plus nature damage on attacks, plus fire damage on attacks, things like that. It's just very easy to do it with nature, because I feel like not a lot of people resist nature in the first place. And if you're curious, the reason I'm able to get these stats are the attuned leather pants, because they give us magnify on our two highest abilities. So I can have 350 dex, 152 intel, and I have like 110 con, and I can pop a 40 con food, and I'm back up to 150 con. So comparatively to the featherweight artifact, which is the chest piece that doesn't weigh anything, I do have less physical and elemental resistance, but I'm working with the same amount of health. But in trade-off, I am getting a lot more damage on my build because I am using the bow and rapier combo. But there is, of course, downsides to everything in New World, and the downside to this build is you are going to do less thrust damage overall, so you have to make up for that. Your thrust damage should still be benefited by a ring because it just helps out with your damage in general. Abilities like Empowering Explosive Arrow will give you a nice little empowerment, so a good thing that you can actually do with this setup if you want those those big nature damage over time dots from poison shot is run more nature damage on your armor, use it on your rune glass, and what you can do is empower from that, shoot the ground. As you can see, 953 a tick is absolutely insane, but it doesn't only benefit that. If you're running the Cannon Blast Heart rune, which a lot of Dex players I actually been seeing don't run it too often. A lot of people are very stuck up on Stone Form, which is very understandable. Stone Form is pretty damn good for light armor. It even benefits the burn proc from it as well. So as you can see, the damage over time is 742, which is really nice. And in my testing without 15 intelligence, it was only 698. So it does definitely benefit it a decent amount. But if you're doing elemental, if you're running explosive arrow, if you're running poison shot actively, but if you're just using rapier itself with a conversion gem to a different element, you're going to be getting a ton of freaking benefit from running this. And I can only imagine how good this is for the musket players, because you guys have powder burn, you have the whole 9 yards to do even more damage. But like I said before, if you're not running a split gem on your weapons, if you're not running damage over time, if you're running evade shot, rapid shot, pen shot, you're not really going to be benefiting from this. This is really only targeted to the people that use bow with a nature conversion or any elemental conversion gem, and you guys like to use the elemental abilities on bow, like I said before, the boom arrow, the poison shot, things like that. 100% I think it is worth the dedication to put this into your build. Now, you don't need the attuned leather pants. You don't need it. If you are okay with being a little bit squishy, you could definitely do 350 dex, 150 int. You're just going to suffer in the con department. But that's really it, guys. That's the important info after my testing, and definitely what I want to start doing in building towards. I'm loving the nature damage. A lot of people this season are running thrust resistance, and I have noticed it heavily, because even though my rune glass is only a 40% damage conversion, there will be times where people are running so much thrust resistance that my nature is still doing more damage than my initial thrust, and it helps out so much with people like that, because they dedicate so much of their resources to resist bows, and you're kind of just 180ing on them. Yes, you're using a bow, but you're doing a nature or any element you guys want to do on them, so they're confused. They're like, man, I have 34% thrust resistance, but this bow guy is still hitting me for so much damage, and I see it so much. I've gotten DMs about it, so it definitely does work, and I highly doubt people are going to start running amber in their armor just to resist the 4 or 5 bow guys that decide to switch over to nature. So it's pretty off meta if you're going to run the 150 in setup, but I do hope this video helped you guys out in that department. I did all the testing, and that was my conclusion with all of this, and it's definitely what I'm going to be running in the near future. But if you did enjoy today's video and found my content helpful in any way, shape, or form, please consider leaving a like on the video, as it does spread out my content to more people in the New World community. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on another New World video from me when it comes to bow and arrow. That is what my content is mainly centered around, and I want to give the best information possible. I have a really banger video popping up that I'm going to probably put out tomorrow for you guys. I think all the bow players are going to love it, so stick around for that. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and I will see you guys later.